Let's start. By now, I think people are familiar that usually when I begin, I like to kind of recall some of the things that we had covered as a means of providing some continuity. So last week we did Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, extremely important sutta and the first time that the Buddha explained nature of reality in the context of the three characteristics. And with the intent of helping our first five Arya Sangha to fully understand with empirical insight on the nature of anatta. We are conditional arising, and anatta fundamentally means that. I repeat, we are a conditional arising. We are a conditional arising. Our reality is conditionally a reason. And anatta is about that. The two concepts are like this. You see one, you see the other. You understand conditionality, you understand conditional arising, you understand anatta. And this is what we're going to cover today. Okay. Very quickly, we also covered the link between anicca and dukkha. And today we're going to look at anicca, dukkha, and connect it to anatta. I mentioned last week that tilakkhana has to be understood from two perspectives. One, it is really a description of reality, ultimate reality. Tilakkhana is a description of reality as it is. So when we say yatha bhuta, whatever is there, yatha bhuta, jnana dasana, see it with understanding and insight as it is, whatever is there. So tilakkhana is that. Okay. One, describing reality, and two, it also is intended for us to use to recalibrate, to change our narrative. We're using it to change sanya. Okay, that's the second purpose of teaching tilakkhana. The second function is the second function of tilakkhana. Okay. So today we're going to describe, we're going to explain anatta as taught by the Buddha. And the same drill, you will notice these two lines appearing again and again. Applying understanding to moderate craving and to tame akusala. All the teachings on nature of reality, from the Noble Truths to tilakkhana, everyone is intended to help us moderate attachment and craving and attachment. If you can, these two are related. You have attachment, you have craving, that's why there's akusala. Because there's akusala is a reflection of craving and attachment. These two are related. They feed on each other. They are synergistic in a way that interact. I repeat, you have akusala, you have craving and attachment. But there is a craving and attachment, that's why there's akusala. You have no craving, no attachment, there will be no akusala. You have no more akusala, there will be no attachment and craving. The two of them are your samsara. Collectively, they are your samsara. Okay? And if you can, these are suttas. We will introduce suttas to defend the point, to demonstrate, to show you that the teachings didn't come from air. It came from the sutta. I will show you the sutta. You go and learn it and remember it if you can. Okay? So, anatta, what is it? We start. The ones who have attended last year's class, we have gone through this. But I'm not sure how much you can remember. Let's do it again. Okay? This time around, I took it a bit. There are two things. Fundamentally, I want you all to think. In online also, we can have the breakout groups. You describe, you tell me, you all, that self. You tell me, when you think of self, what do you think of? I want you to describe as many features, examples, evidence of self as you can think of. So you have to look deep, dig deep into yourself. Who are you? In other words, who are you? How would you describe you? What makes you so unique? What makes you unique? So much so that you happily say, this is me. This is self. Okay? Go. Let's do this for 10 minutes. Okay? Please proceed. Afterwards, I want the online fellas as well as the on-site fellas to give me your answers. So what is yourself? So as many as you can think of, as many characteristics or features or evidence as you can think of. What's the answer? Anyone? Yeah, just rattle off. Come on. You guys know self as well as you know anything else.
Anyone want to share? I can pass you all the mic.
No, just ask me. Yeah,
Or
answer.
just shout. Just shout. Name,
Okay.
identity,
Okay.
anything? Profession, your job,
Okay.
occupation, okay. Dreams, goals, okay.
Okay.
Opinions, thoughts and opinions, okay.
What else?
Anything more?
That's it.
Wow, past glory.
Okay. Any more?
Behavior, okay. Likes and preferences, okay, very strong, okay. Anything else?
Yeah, like now I have. Okay. Any more?
Experience. Experience. Association is in relationships. Okay. Relationship, feelings, your friendships, education, achievements, appearance, okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Regrets or views?
Okay. Very
Yeah.
good. Now you're on a roll because it comes naturally to people. Let me give you my version. Agree? The most obvious. You all have different names. You all have memory of your age lah, character lah, physical attributes lah. This is the most obvious. This uniqueness helps people to perceive themselves as different. Okay, some more. I don't recall anyone talking about relationship, did they? Actually, there's a whole bunch of it. Because I call it constructed social space. Constructed social space means you, in terms of relationship, you all can't help but perceive yourself as having a space in society. You think about it, right? Parents, older, higher, senior, children, junior, and so on and so forth. Peers, bosses, colleagues, people you love, people you hate, etc., etc. There is always a sense of a space for you. Okay? Some more? Let's go on. Stories we tell, sense of time, it's about memories. Because you have all these distinctions, you compare. As long as you identify with them, you will compare, both from the tangible to the intangible. Change that keeps continuing, your sensations and all. What are these? What are these? Wait, before I forget. All these, every one of these, all these, if you think about it, every single one is constructed. Every single thing. Every single thing here is constructed. It is not that they are not felt as real. They are felt. You sense them. But by now you all know, in order for any of them to surface as an experience for you, any of these to surface as an experience and to surface, to have meaning, is Sanya Vedana Shankara. Agree? All these. All of them. For you, I repeat, for you, for these to surface as an experience for you. And for you to say, I know what this is, I know what this is, you have to construct Shankara. You have to recognize Sanya. You have to feel Vedana. 对不对? All of them. Every single experiences, none exception, no exception. Everyone conditionally a reason. What does it mean by conditionally a reason? From nothing comes something. Depending on state of mind, which is in itself conditionally a reason, depending on your sanya, which is conditionally a reason. There's contact, there is experience. Contact can be external, contact can be internal. Every one of them constructed, experienced. That's one set. The second one, this control and ability, next time I should shift it. Control and ability to shape. You believe. There is a belief in, and it is a moha, it's a delusional belief. But it doesn't mean you don't feel it. So there is in us an instinct, whether it's habit or it's presumption, it sits on delusion, which is that we can control all these. I'll give you an example. I can control my aging process. So I Botox. I color the hair. I pat all kinds of things on the face. In relationship, you try and make people do things the way you want them to. You even believe you can. There is in us, in all of us, and I need you to realize it, to get it, and to recognize it. I need you to recognize it. There is a part in us that has this presumption and assumption that I can will and I can choose. I choose and I get. You may say that no, it doesn't work like that. I know. You learn this, you realize this. But underpinning your behavior and your habit is still the assumption that you can. Otherwise, why would you tell someone, don't do this, do that? Why do you get angry with people and get angry with yourself? You get angry because you assume people make a choice to behave like that, to be that way. You assume that. Otherwise, why would you get angry? Then you say, I get angry because I get angry, lor. Anger arises. Ah, clever. Anger arises. But why does anger arise? Because because you prefer otherwise. Hello? Because you prefer otherwise. That's why anger arises. And if you cannot control, you prefer for what? 假扮不是足够 and prefer. If you cannot control, if it's conditionally a reason, then your preferences is irrelevant, isn't it? Then why even have it? Can't help. conditioner arising. Cannot help. These things happen. Can you see this moha? Can you see it? So anyhow, embedded in all of us is a presumption of control. It's a presumption that you can determine. That's why you say cause and effect. I cause, that's the effect. I control. Even in the choice of what we use, and we put it into the Buddha's mouth, karma is cause and effect. You put it into the Buddha's mouth. He never said it like that. He said what is will is karma. Karma then creates the condition, which is vipaka. He never called it will, cause and effect. We also clever. 因缘, even the Chinese say that. Cause and effect. But it's not. It is not. It is condition. Meaning something happens, it sets a certain mood, it sets a certain frame, it sets a certain thing, and then you will react. And you react according to your whatever conditions that have made you the way you are. Then you say, then some people will say, then why practice? Then everything condition, why practice? So that you set the condition today in the hope that it starts to shift the condition for tomorrow. You can only shift. Then let's hope it works. Doesn't work, shift harder. Let's hope it works. You shift, you move. And then you wait for, and then it will settle into place. And that's why you need patience. That's why patience is a emphasis. Patience is not just about making do. It is not just about holding the line so you don't react. Patience is about waiting for conditions to move, to shift, for the conditions to become prevalent so that you are increasingly easing in towards a certain habit. You need patience for all the conditions to start to settle. Think of it like sediments. Actually, sediments are a very good example. I cannot will sediments to settle. Agree? Sediment settles depending on the nature of the water, the conditions of resistance, the weight of the sediments, etc., etc., etc. And then the sediments will all settle. And you need patience for that to happen, ma? Agree? Okay, so this is dealing with self, the idea. So every one of you was invited to come and tell me what is self. And whatever you can think of is the 5 aggregates of grasping. And all the 5 aggregates of grasping is conditionally a reason. What else you want? Not enough. Okay, let's move on. Then why do you say there is a self? Now you all understand. But why is there still a self? Because there's a part in you that's 不服咯. Not satisfied. See, I feel it. I feel it. Actually, no need to discuss. I'll tell you. The reason why people keep saying there is a self, is because there is a part in you that feel self. Then what is it that you're feeling? If you're saying feeling self, what is it you're feeling? Like, so there's 2 parts. One is the thinking and one is the feeling, the sensation. That is not vedana. This is I know there is a self. So the question is why? Why do people feel that way, right? Okay, let's see what did the Buddha say. Okay, let's go into what the Buddha said. Buddha said, self, the sensation, the feeling of self, the idea of self is embedded in attachment to and identifying with the 5 aggregates. If you have no attachment, if attachment, I need you to recognize recognize the mental state called attachment. Okay? If you don't have that mental state, if there is no attachment in you as a habit and an instinct, you have no attachment, you will not identify. I repeat, if you're not attached, mind, attached and craving, if you don't have that, you will not identify. If you don't identify, if there is no identification, no attachment, no identification, the sense of self, the sense of it, the sense, the feeling of self would disappear. Okay? This is what the Buddha said. It is by clinging, Ananda, that the notion I am occurs. Not without clinging. But clinging to what? And by clinging to what does I am occur? Clinging to what? Clinging to form. Clinging to feeling. Vedana. Clinging to sanya. To Shankara. To Vijnana. Clinging to the aggregates that I am occurs. Not without clinging. You need to understand this. So in your daily life, how do you practice? In your daily life, in whatever sensations, whatever reality you experience, in whatever reality, you have to see the aggregate. This is sanya. This is vedana. This is rupa. This is shankara. You need to see that. And then you have to see your attachment to that. Attachment to that. If you see that attachment, you will see I'm identifying with that. You can see the attachment, you can see the identifying. You cannot see the attachment, you don't even see, or the other way, you see identifying, you must know attachment is there. The other way also can. If I am identifying with feeling, then you know you're attached to feeling. Get it? If I see identifying to view, this view is mine. I hold this view. You're identifying with the view, you must know you're attached to that view. It's because of attachment you feel self. That's what he's saying. That's what I've been telling you. You don't come and ask me again what is self. Buddha tell you, I tell you. I repeat what Buddha said. You ask me again, it means you didn't hear it. You don't hear it, you're not internalizing it because you think you know better. You're not internalizing it, then you won't get it. This is where saddha, faith, conviction, confidence in the Buddha applies. This is what saddha means. You believe in your own view that the self is real. Now, I'm not saying you as an individual. I'm saying a generic you lah. The world out there lah. Some of you already got it. Don't nag at us. Got it. Okay, I get it. I'm just saying the generic person, because they feel the I is very real. They feel the sensation of attachment. What they are feeling is attachment. They feel the sensation of attachment. And that power, that a sensation of attachment is very powerful. It's very gripping. This is where Mara is. When you have saddha, you feel the sensation, but you will say, Buddha say it like this. I must tell my mind to do it like this. So what did Buddha say? Inform, say, not mine, not I, not myself. In feeling, in vedana, say, not mine, not I, not myself. Buddha say like this. If I have saddha, I have faith, I will do it like this. Even though my instincts, my wonderful, gorgeous, delusional instinct says self is real. Nevertheless, Buddha said it like this. Not mine, not I, not myself. I will do it like this. Not mine, not I, not myself. This requires you to come from the angle of saddha. Otherwise, you will believe that your sensation, your feeling of self tells me it's real. Buddha cannot be real. Buddha don't know what he's teaching is not correct. You gao, you gao. You gao, then you do it your way, lor. You want to do it the Buddha way? When you feel differently, you will still do as he said. This is what it means. He went on to say, by clinging, bhikkhu, when what exists, by clinging to what? By adhering to what does the identity view arise? Here, SN22, it tells you SN22 is a place you want to revisit on your own, okay? So he said, when there is form, by clinging to form, by adhering to form, identity view arises. So when there is form, you look at the way it's constructed. When there is form, meaning that experience conditionally a reason. There is no willing. You didn't will it. When there is something tells you conditionally a reason. So when there is form, okay, it is nature. By clinging to form,来了, you attach. Clinging is attachment. Adhering, you are identifying with it. You're sticking to it. So I cling, I identify, identity view arises. And it is form, feeling, perception, Shankara, Vijnana. So you go back and you look. Age, form. Calculation of age, constructed. Name, identity, sanya. Name, sanya. This life is called whatever. John, this life. Last life called John, me? Last life maybe called Mala, Rahula. Could be anything. Previous life, I don't know. Sukhumvit. Give you a tired identity. So many lives, so many names. So many names, so many identity. Shifting and shifting. What is real? Okay? So this is one. Please remember the idea of self, the sensation is embedded. Attachment, therefore identity. Please remember this. So in your daily life, when you have very strong vedana, very strong emotions, let's use English words. Using English words means I am bringing in vedana and sanya. I repeat, when I use the English word emotion, it means vedana, sanya, shankara. It is not just vedana. I'm grieving. Grief, vedana, unpleasant. Grief because of something, sanya. Grief, you recall, shankara. That is this, keep constructing. Okay? I grieve. Attached to something, missing something, identifying with your vedana, sanya, shankara. Therefore, the self grieves. When you see grieving, recognize it as a sanya, vedana, shankara. And then you tell yourself, in all of these, conditioning a reason, the sensation unpleasant, there has to be attachment. Because of attachment, identity arises. That's how you practice. This requires understanding, so right understanding, and requires mindfulness, consistent, samadhi, consistent enough, sharp enough to see, and then to correlate according to the Dhamma. This is how you practice in daily life again and again. You must bring up your panya, your understanding, your wisdom, your recognition, your understanding, your memory of what was taught. This sutta, please remember it. Your memory of what was taught, the memory of how he did it. This is your sanya. Your samadhi. Okay, so your sanya, and then your where is the sila? Sila is faith. Buddha say like that, I do like that. I remember how to do it. I preserve a certain equilibrium, preserving a certain mental equilibrium so that samadhi happens. I can see the correlation. I can remember what it is. And I will spin in this. When you are able to spin this way, spinning means you're going around and around this manner. You can do it this way. That is practice. Understanding, recognizing, correlating, applying. That is practice. Okay? Don't come back again next year. Remember this. You remember this, you carry on. This is how you practice. Okay? Come back next year to help me teach. No need to learn already. Okay. This, so just now was 1. Now we are going into 2. So you discuss first, again, 10 minutes. I want you all to just discuss so that you can remember the flow. Okay? So what do you understand by the statement here? Discuss. Maybe no need 10 minutes, just 5 minutes. Because I want to move quickly into the next one, capitalizing on your eagerness to learn. So we will just go through this very quickly, 5 minutes, and then after that, we will do the next one. Okay, discuss on site. Online, you all just talk lah. 5 minutes only, 5 minutes.
Any answers you would like to share? Oh, questions. Sister, can take questions?
If your question is not pertaining to this, no. Put it into your mental notebook. Later we ask.
No. Okay. Any reflection, thoughts?
Don't have?
Okay.
Hey, you guys are supposed to look at this, right? What is your conclusion? What does this tell you? Let's just go for the one on site.
Is it okay with us? Okay. Hi, sister. Sorry, I moved to the camera somewhere here. Okay.
It's okay, I can see you running around.
Yeah. Sorry, we discussed a bit, but like there's a question that actually, why do we need to have absolute control over these aspects of our 5 aggregates for it to be considered ourselves? So if we take the idea of like Singapore as a nation, as an identity or culture, we don't really have full control over it. In the sense that we can will things to be such or will things to not be such, but it still makes some sense to think of this as think of that as being a Singaporean identity or Singaporean culture. Could we apply something like this to the self, or are we missing the point of this sutta?
Sorry, I don't understand your question.
Okay. No, it's just so I read from the second paragraph. And it would be possible to have it of form, let my form be thus, let my form not be thus. So isn't it saying something like if you have absolute control over it, we can will it, and then there is something that is worthy of having the category of the self, but
Okay.
we don't, and therefore we can't really talk about it.
Okay, I understand now.
Okay, thank you.
So you're saying that you're actually not you can't quite connect with this point. Is that
Yes.
in other words, self is not will, it's just divorce.
Uh,
Self is like self. Whereas this one is saying that if you perceive that an essential quality of self is the perception of control.
Correct.
Correct, right? That's what you're saying. Okay. It's okay, I understand you. It's a good question. I will answer it.
Yeah, thank you.
You need to understand, everyone, that ultimately you're talking about cessation of craving. I just want to stress this point. Do not lose sight of this as the ultimate objective, third noble truth. Okay? The ultimate objective of our practice, a key component of our belief system, or a key component of the teaching, and thus form our belief system, is actually intended for cessation of dukkha. Agree? We are all not here to learn about self or non-self. We're all here to learn about what did the Buddha say about cessation of dukkha. Dukkha and the cessation. Okay, you must not lose sight of the big prize. Okay? Then the question is, what are you attached to? And how is one able to eventually not allowing cessation, not willing craving to go away? Because when there is a willing, it is still wanting and craving. When you will something, it still sits on wanting and craving. And therefore, you cannot will craving away. You cannot. Then how does craving cease? How does it stop? That's the trick. That's the difficult part. It has to stop naturally. You cannot will it to stop. So you understand this. I need this as a context. You got to understand this part. So then the next question is, what is it that we are craving? What is it we are attached to? And then you work from there. Slowly, with understanding. And every step of the way has all the three components. Every step of your toning down, easing off, every step of the easing off will require right understanding, right thought. So therefore, panya, it will require right choices made. Right choices. So what you call sila is choices. Choosing to act, choosing to speak, choosing to react in a certain way. That's choice. Okay. I repeat, what we say sila actually means choices. Right choices. Okay. And you will require a state of mind, detached, calm, clear, sharp enough to be able to catch in real time what's going on so that you can relate it back to your understanding and your knowledge, and then you make the right choices, and you need that steady mind and clarity of mind to catch the choices and how it impact on the mind, and to connect the dots and to do a lot of things. So samadhi provides the condition for the mind to act wisely with understanding and wisdom. That's what it means. This is how they all come together in real time, in real life. As part of the understanding of nature of reality, understanding that nature, you got to be able to break it down so that you're no longer attached to the parts. You are attached to the parts. But you don't even realize you're attached to the parts. You think you're attached to the self. But actually, you're attached to the parts. I repeat, you're attached to parts. And then you happily propel yourself forward to think of it as self. But you don't know that. The self is form, the form is self. The self in form, the form is self. That's what it means. You are attached to parts, bits. You're a worm. We have a worm view. But from the worm view, we see it into the big, ginormous, galactical view, which is the self. Okay? So that is why we have to understand the nature of self, because this strategic one is it's a huge thing. You're clinging, you're attaching, you are attached to the aggregates. Aggregates is identified as self, you're attached to self. So you got to chip away the delusion, you got to chip it away. That's why we're doing this. Now, embedded, you have craving, you have wanting. You don't want a process, you want an outcome. Okay, your wanting is about pleasant sensation, avoiding the pain. That's wanting an outcome. And all these events that happen will lead to the pleasant, unpleasant. It just boils down to that. We just want the outcome. The outcome is I want pleasant, I don't want pain. That's the outcome. Then all the steps of the way, you have preferences, preferences, preferences. And embedded in all these preferences is the belief that you can shape outcome. It's a belief. That's why it's a delusion. You believe you can. It doesn't mean you can. In fact, you can't. So this particular expression, this way of saying it, is the Buddha just jumping to the final point. Okay? You are trying to think of it logically, but it's actually him going from point A, your craving, to point Z. The craving sits on the assumption, I can will outcome. It is an assumption. It's a delusion. That's why it's called a delusion. So embedded in the delusion of, there are different parts. I have a craving. I crave for an outcome. Embedded in the outcome is a delusion of self. That's what it means. I have a craving. My craving is for an outcome, which is pleasant, unpleasant. Wanting pleasant, avoiding pain. I want that outcome. The outcome that benefit I, which then gives me satisfaction. Pleasant and pleasant. Okay, it all boils down to all things like that. So here it is. So what is your entire experience of life? Aggregates. In all these aggregates, I perceive it with self. I perceive. Then he's saying, you perceive itself. So self is itself, the notion of there is a self. If you have that self, then you should be able to determine outcome. But you cannot determine outcome. Then where the self? So that's what he's saying. Our modern world has become more sophisticated in how we identify with self. It's partly, I don't know whether it's got to do with our education or it has to do with our experiences. I think over time we all realize we cannot control outcome lah. But nevertheless, we still believe in self. So we on our own happy effort, we have detached it. Now, I realized this connection when I was just, because for me, right, in the way that I look at the Dhamma, I always come from the angle that if I don't understand, it's nothing to do with the Dhamma, it has to do with delusion. I always come from that angle. So I will try very hard to keep looking at the mind and its habit. I will look very hard at the mind and its habit to catch the corruption, the flaw. I look at the mind to catch the flaw in view, my sanya. It is my habit. So while doing one of these reflection moments, it really struck me that embedded in the craving is the craving for an outcome. And therefore, there is the part that I can push for an outcome. And that was when I realized this is what it means. So when the Buddha said, let my form be the idea here is I'm attached. I am attached to an outcome. My will, the will is in that outcome. I'm willing an outcome. I'm willing an experience. Logically, using logic, you can't see it. I repeat, by pure logic, you cannot see this connection. Therefore, you have to go back to experiential. It has to be realized in real time for yourself, and then you will see the will and the outcome that you want. You see that, you will recognize what this is saying, the anatta that he's talking about. And this comes with what I call this self. This is the second definition, the second explanation. The notion of self sitting on a delusional will over the aggregates. Okay? This is from what was said earlier. This is the delusional part. If you look at the statement in itself, it means will. And I put in the word delusional because you don't realize it, but actually it is there. I want it to happen in a certain way. And that is very much embedded in your attachment, your craving. Now, so now I'm taking you through what he said in Anatta Lakkhana. I'm taking you through that to arrive at the answer, okay? You just have to answer me true or false. You just have to answer me true or false. We are preoccupied with sukha. There is a part in us, in all of us. You don't tell me it's false. This one cannot be false. When you are in depression, you're finding ways to fix the problem. When you're angry, you see this is not normal. I got to go and solve this. I solve this, I'll be happy again. I'm sitting, I'm with people I don't like. I am having to handle something I don't enjoy. Why? Because I experience dukkha, pain, unhappiness, discomfort, inconveniences. What are all these? It boils down to sensation, vedana, okay? It boils down to vedana. Whatever you can think of, whatever you can think of. Even your choosing to come to the Dhamma, even that sits on sukha. Because dukkha, life is so dukkha. There must be an answer somewhere. Buddha has the answer. I go find Buddha. I go find Buddha, I go find Dhamma. Then if Buddha Dhamma, I don't get it, I go find Sangha. Because somebody will understand. Then they will explain to me, and then I will be happy forever. There is a preoccupation, there's an obsession, there's an enchantment, there is a passion about sukha. So true, huh? True or false? We work hard to shape the condition to bring about sukha to avoid dukkha. True or false? Your life experience. You don't have meh? You don't all the time try to do this meh? I pick the people I sit next to. I pick the people I talk to. Even in your group, you're choosing the one that will contribute. The ones who give you angst, I don't want. Talk nonsense one, don't want. Why talk nonsense? Why is the fella talking nonsense? Because I don't agree with the fella. Or he's talking off point. Or he's fixated about himself. You will have all kinds of judgment. Judging. You're judging. What is judging about? Judging is about how to maximize sukha and minimize dukkha. Okay? You think you're very righteous. No. When you're judging, you're actually judging along the line of dukkha and sukha. Okay? What are the conditions you're trying to control? What are you shaping? External environment, which you cannot. Internal environment, the aggregates, which you cannot. So this is how the Buddha argued the other case. You see, the pleasure, avoiding the pain. How do you ensure the best condition that will yield a pleasant outcome? What is a pleasant outcome? It means I'm not experiencing unpleasant and pain. I'm experiencing pleasant and happiness. Pleasant and pleasure. So all of us, naturally, as a matter of habit, we will try and shape conditions, shape environment, shape outside, shape inside. But until you come to the class, until you sit down and listen very carefully to the Buddha, actually you don't see any of this. You just react. React based on what you remember works. React based on what you assume happens. He's just reacting. Agree? The self. If you link the self to the aggregates are all mind-made and constructed. Conditionally a reason. I repeat, if we agree, the notion of self doesn't sit outside of the aggregates. Okay, let's just flip it around. If we agree that the self doesn't sit outside of the aggregates, it's all embedded in the aggregates. Your aggregates, you identify with something. Identify with the aggregates, you create the self. Identify the aggregate, you create the self. If you agree on that, you must agree the aggregates are conditioned at reason, the aggregates are mind-made. You say, man, aggregates not mind-made. Even the aggregates, they're conditioning a reason. Yeah. But your sanya not mind-made, meh? You think about it. All your memory must be made ready, then store, mah. Store already, then make some more. Made ready, then store again, no? Are they all not mind-made? You think about it. Your Vedana, contact, they got sensation. Yeah. But your sensation, number one, the physical sensation has to depend on nerve ending. Nerve ending not mind-made. Yeah. Made all the way back already, then started. Okay. So when you're born again, made again, then start again. Okay, whatever it is. So you must have a nerve ending. Then you must have an interpretation of what just happened. Let me share this is just me telling a story of how it works. Okay. You all know I fractured my ankle. It went into a cast. So for 5.5 weeks, it was in a cast. And everybody who had broken ankle or broken hand before, every one of them with one of these experiences, always ask this question, not itchy, meh? When I went to the hospital for them to take off that cast, they also asked this question, not itchy, meh? And my reply was, the first couple of days, there was itch, but then no more. Right up to the end, not really. It was actually quite a comfortable experience. And then people say, oh, you're so lucky. It's nothing to do with luck. It has everything to do with understanding how the mind works and understanding how the form interaction with the mind. I don't construct each, there is no each. That's all it is. There is a healing process which by itself creates a certain experience. I recognize the experience. I understand what's going on. I tell myself, this is the skin doing its work. This is the whatever doing its work. I see, I understand, I let be. Then don't think of each. Then he didn't itch. He really didn't itch. Is that a blessing? Nonsense. It's all mind-made. So even itch can be mind-made. What is itch? It's really irritation on the skin. Don't go and get so attached to it. Then nothing will happen. Okay? You look at this. Again, see, uninstructed whirling, unskilled, undisciplined. Those are two separate sets. Uninstructed means you have no you have no knowledge. You haven't had knowledge from Buddha and Dhamma. So I said you all cannot be uninstructed already. You all instructed already. Okay. Some of you are still whirling. I don't know if everyone is whirling. Whirling means beings who are caught up in the world, being attached to the world. Okay. Unskilled, undisciplined. Unskilled, undisciplined is about application. So the first part is about knowledge. The second part is about application, practice. So typically, he will use either uninstructed full stop, or he will say uninstructed, unskilled, untrained, undisciplined. It means don't understand, don't know how to apply. Okay. You regard form as self, self as possessing form, form in self, self in form. So what it means is there is a habit and an instinct to identify, to own and identify with the aggregates. And that is how identity view comes to be. You can understand, again, it's SN22. You can understand this. And he repeated this throughout this SN22. Okay, you can understand this. This is the beginning of your training, applying and training to let go, to disassociate aggregates from identity, from attachment and identity. You recognize this. You cannot think and rationalize your way out. This is experiential. That's why it's uninstructed, unskilled, undisciplined. You have to understand that you apply. You have to change your narrative. Your narrative has worked itself into a frenzy over the self. Now you got to de-escalate, change the narrative and shift it away from the obsession with the self. Don't link copy yet. I need to keep nailing this. So I repeat, the self appears from two perspectives. All the roads lead back to the same thing. Okay, disassociate with the aggregates, disassociate with identity. But it is two things. One, it is in all the aggregates, there is an attachment. In the attachment, there is an I. An identity is formed. No attachment, no identity. This comes as an understanding first. Correction. It comes as a DT. Don't use the Angmo word. Use the Pali word. DT. This comes in as a DT. Because it comes in as a DT, you're talking about sanya, your baseline filter. Understand? I repeat, you are typically, instinctively, habitually, subconsciously attached to aggregates. Agree? Agree, Because you're attached, from there, that attachment spring identity. This part is not obvious. You got to see it. Understand? The I am attached to aggregates part, you know. You all are. From the attachment springs the identity. the clinging and the attachment, comes the identity, the I am view. This part, not all of you get it. Not all of you have seen it. This you must see. You cannot see this, you don't have a faint chance in hell to see anatta. I'm serious. I'm telling you, you cannot rationalize yourself into anatta. You can't. Because it's embedded so deep, it's your subconscious. You have to first see attachments to the aggregates, which I know most of you can. Most of you can. But the second one, you have to get it. Because of my attachment springs the I am, springs the identity. This is the second thing, you got to get it. I use very strong words today. Means no, I don't mince my words, okay? Just give it to you. So, the identity, you cling to both the attachment to the aggregate. So you cling to the aggregates, you cling to the identity. That is the clinging. This is one level of realization. Realization. So this is called DT because it has to sink in deep enough. Get it? Okay. This is part one. The second thing you have to see. See meaning experiential. You don't see it as in in real time experience, as it is right there, it's happening right in front of you. You don't see it, you don't get it. You cannot rationalize yourself into A and B. A is earlier one, the one that was talking attachment and identity. You cannot rationalize there. For anyone who tries to rationalize and say, I understand, you don't. You may make sense, a bit rational, but you don't get it. This has to be seen real time. So my advice to you, when you sit quietly, you go deep into your meditation, you can experience some degree of samadhi, or even in your daily life, when mindfulness is sharp enough, you start looking at your aggregates. You start seeing the attachment. You start seeing the identifying. That's part one. That's A. B. In your aggregates, see what are you attached to about the aggregates? What are you attached to? What are you trying to shape in the aggregates? What outcome are you trying to push? In that experience, recognize the will. Recognize the willing going on. Recognize that willing, the will, that effort to shape. You recognize that, then you will see that in that willing is the deluded idea of a self. That's the second one you need to see. This one you cannot rationalize. You recognize the will. If you see the will, you recognize how you are pushing and pushing and pushing. At that point, you must tell yourself, if the self is real, I can will an outcome. You tell yourself that. Then you will begin to understand anatta lakkhana. Okay? Now you can go drink coffee. Now you can go lim kopi. How much time? Let me see how much time we have. 3:30. About 7 minutes. Okay, if you're ready, then we just start. I have to stop talking just in case, right? What is distortion of reality? So we always talk about, loba, people know. Dosa, people know. Mohale? What is moha? Delusion. Okay. This is moha. Vipalasa. Vipalasa Sutta. There are 4 inversions of, look at the word, sanya vipalasa, distortion of sanya. Chitta vipalasa, distortions, inversions of the mind. Ditti vipalasa, inversions of view. Why didn't he just say one? Why have 3 parts? Sanya, chitta, just to drum it home, different aspects of it. Sanya, we know, is your baseline lenses. Chitta is a habit. It's an instincts. It's an ambience in the mind. The mind is of that space already. View is constructed. So in the tactical way, in a strategic way, externally, internally, externally, wrong choice of word. Think of it like from your subconscious to your conscious mind, the entire range is distorted. From your habit and your instincts, based on that, this is how you see and understand and translate. And based on that, this is how you construct and you choose and you decide. So all the way deep down into the subconscious, in other words, the distortion is there, the 4 distortions. The 4 habitual inversions, 4 habitual distortion. Taking what is impermanent to be permanent. And then people will say, no, we know impermanence. I kept saying again and again. Our baseline, our habit, the way we see, the way we react, we never assume mortality. This is the most obvious. We never, ever assume mortality. Even now, so many weeks, 7 weeks, this 6 week. This is the 6 week. 6 weeks of 7 classes. This is 7 class. 6 weeks later, 7 classes later, most of us are still stuck in immortality. I don't believe any of us wake up going, today is my last day. I don't believe any of us make plans, make choices based on the assumption for tomorrow I die. We don't have that. None of us do. It is very hard. This is very hard because the mind instinctively doesn't want to go there. So you have to force the mind to go there. If you have been doing your 5 reflections daily, the mind will start to go there. If you're doing and you must do it without fail. Consistently, every day you reflect. Every moment you reflect. Every moment that you can remember you're back in the practice, you will just one thought, spare one thought, can die next moment, can die tomorrow, can die tonight. All this can be over. This life can be over. You have to do that. In order to do, this is the hard one. This is the shaky one. Or the other possibility is mindful. The pure, clear, sharp mindfulness, observing the different levels, observing how your Vedana goes up like that, how your sensations go shift. You have to do that. So you see at the minute level change, impermanence. You keep drumming keep drumming your mind into this. Takes what is dukkha to be pleasurable. The habit is still there. We still like life. We enjoy life. We look forward to the sense pleasures of life. There is nothing right or wrong. It's just the mind's delusional habit. And it has to be. Otherwise, it will all become Sangha already. Because we still have this habit of taking what is dukkha. So what is this? What is dukkha? What is this what? To be pleasurable. What is it? Life. Aggregates. Your life, your aggregates, existence. There is a baseline assumption that life is meaningful. Life is preferred. Being alive, being awake is good. It's good. So that's a habit. That's an instinct. It drills right deep down into the subconscious. Then comes this one. So you see, the first two is the most obvious, and we struggle. And here you're trying to rationalize yourself into anatta. The first two is most obvious, and they're so obvious you can actually you can even rationalize it. It's true, it's true. I don't think of mortality. I don't think enough of mortality. It is true. My mind has delusional preferences, delusional habits. You can see that. And the dukkha and sukha one also, yeah, that one is a bit harder. It gets harder and harder. It just get harder. You go, yeah, it's true. Yeah, but that's so painful to see things as dukkha, right? You would say, so painful to think as dukkha. Anyway, that's why thinking only my mind make dukkha ma. But actually, no, I feel sukha. No, no. If you're dying, you will realize how much is dukkha. Because every moment is a dying moment. Every moment is a past. Every moment the past has happened. It's the past, the past, the past. So if you are actually looking at the moment, right, and you see as over, over and over, you fix your mind there, you will really see the dukkha, the shifting, the changing, the moving on. It's over, it's over, it's over, it's over. But no, we don't. We don't fix on that. We see coming up, coming up, coming up. You see rising. So you're very happy. Anatta, conditional arising. Okay. I know I use different words, but actually they mean the same. Anatta, what is anatta, you take as atta. So what is conditionally a reason? You take it as fixed. You take it as permanent. You take it as what is static, what is real, what is intrinsic. What is conditionally a reason? The regular, typical mind delusionally takes it as static, takes it as desirable, takes it as in control, permanent and in control. That's actually the definition of what is self. Atta, the idea of atta actually is everlasting, it is permanent, it is unchanging, it is real. And then comes this one, takes what is unattractive to be attractive. So usually we look at the body, because it's the most obvious. If you look at the body properly, you look at it in a balanced way, you will see more problem with the body than the superficial beauty. But that's the same with everything. You look at the forest from afar, forest very beautiful. So I choose this one. Forest very beautiful. You dig up the forest, you see all the crawlies, the creepy crawlies, the mud, the discomfort, the smell of decay, etc., etc. The forest not so beautiful anymore. You look at the sea, ocean, water, beautiful, serene. You take it up, put it under the microscope, you will see a whole world of microcosm, the microorganism, from the bacteria to the viruses to the everything that can cause you harm. Every imaginable crawlies is there. You see everything. The mind leans towards pleasant and pleasure and attractive. The mind has that habit. That's why it makes it worth living. You're in the Mara. That's why he said, you're born by the yoke of Mara, born by the yoke of death. Because there is birth, death is a given. As soon as you're born, death starts. So that's why you're born into the realm of Mara. You're born into Mara's realm. You're born into the death of the realm of death. And as a result of these four delusional habits, craving arises, attachment arises. Therefore, there will be birth and rebirth. and therefore samsara. Okay? Now, this is important. Pick a partner. I don't want a group. Pick one person because each of you, for examples, there's a lot. I want you all to tell each other. It can be the same examples, but I want you to reflect first, and then you tell the other, my understanding of these four is like this. And an episode, a personal example, a personal episode. Like, I'll give you example, mortality, right? Let's say I'm nursing someone who's dying. To me, that mortality is very real. Otherwise, daily life, I would just plan. I don't even think about mortality. I don't even see it. But when I sit with someone who is dying, it's very real. Something like that. I want an example of your one moment where the lens goes from delusional to reality. That one moment. Okay? One partner only. We do this for 10 minutes. Each one 5 minutes. So, or you can take a bit of time to think of your own examples, and then you say, what's the example of the delusion writing itself? Then you say, I cannot write. Then so be it. You don't have. Okay? Do you understand? So this one requires you to reflect. Reflect and understand. One partner. Go. You need you will need a string of insights. You need a string of insights, momentary aha moments. You need many of those for the mind to shift, for the habits to shift. It can take quite a while. Anyone wants to share? You all had 10 minutes. Actually, the intent of this moment, right? The intent of this is a consolidation moment. Even if you said, I can't think of examples, but this 10 minutes gave me time to think, reflect, and try and remember as part of my practice. Which is good enough. Actually, that's the intent. The intent is not that I'm going to collect something like 15 examples on site. It is not. It is really one moment to think about the words and to see if it makes sense in my daily life. Okay? So this thing about anatta, right? If you can really understand conditional arising of daily experiences, that's actually anatta also. When you're beginning to experience that in your daily life, you're beginning to see that a reaction to something, an understanding of something, an experience of something, it's not as straightforward as will. It is really conditional. You begin to see that you begin to understand anatta. Okay, so I don't want to waste any more time here. I want to move on. And I want to talk about fixing reality. Why and how to do it. Why is because, remember, I go back to the original point. What is this practice about? Understanding dukkha properly, abandoning attachment, abandoning craving and chasing, realizing cessation of dukkha, and cultivating the necessary mental states for that experience of the noble truth for one to be able to experience the Noble Truth properly, to shift the way the mind works and habitually works. Okay. You got to understand, I repeat, that's the big picture. Whatever that you do, however you try to understand the Dhamma, you must remember that's the big picture. That's the ultimate goal, your KPI. So, why do we have to fix distortion of reality? Because of the mind's habit. Our mind, all minds, all regular minds, until you're Arahant, all minds in different intensities, we are biased towards life, meaning power, continuity, power, to continue, pleasure and pleasant, the attractive, and the attachment. Your mind habitually goes that way. The mind making all these choices. So remember what I said earlier. Wisdom, understanding, and insight leading to making beneficial, helpful, the so-called the right choices. Your sila has to do with the choices that you're making. Okay. And if your choices that you make are beneficial and helpful for your practice, the mind will go quiet. That's your samadhi. You remember what I said, huh? Now we go back to this line. The mind is biased towards life, continuity, pleasant, and pleasure, attractive attachment. So because your mind is biased that way, your DT is affected. See it? Your DT. So this is your wrong view leads to wrong choices feeding on wrong view, and you keep going this way. So this has to do with your DT. Because your DT is wrong, is biased in a certain way, it holds on to certain delusion, it sits on delusion. Because of that, your sanya is distorted, right? But all this, your sanya is all distorted. It's wrong view. You will then make all kinds of wrong choices. You will act on feeding the delight, experiencing gratification, getting ahead, preserving self-interest, etc. You will make that kind of choices. So these two are related, okay? Therefore, it is necessary to recalibrate the lens. You have to. You have to do it. You don't do it, you don't recalibrate, you cannot see reality properly. You don't see reality properly, there is no nibbana. Because you need that reality, see properly, then it incentivizes. It gives you the incentive to want to let go. Otherwise, it won't happen. Okay? No right seeing, no loosening of attachment. No loosening of attachment, no nibbana. That's all. Okay? So to correct your four inversions, first, you got to be aware you have that habit. It is just, I know my mind has a tendency to lean towards the wrong view. You got to at least be aware of that. Then you will have to, because you're aware, now you better be very deliberate. Anicca, dukkha, anatta, and then the fourth one, unattractiveness. Anicca, impermanence, dukkha, suffering, anatta, non-self. Non-self. You must do it. It's deliberate. So you go and look at your perception knob and you tweak to lean it towards anicca, dukkha, anatta. Because you understand how sanya works. So what we are doing is actually with Shankara, with the construction, you act on the sanya. By now you understand what we are doing, I hope. I repeat, deliberately, consciously, with diligence, with discipline, you will add the useful words into your daily life. When you have an emotion that is hard to bear, you must straight away say, where is that attachment? What am I attached to? It's usually some sanya thing, wrong view. Oh, got it. It is a sanya problem. No, not mine, not I, not myself. I still feel the sensation of self. You have attachment. There is attachment. There is the identifying with the episode, Sanya or Shankara or Vijnana or Vedana, whatever. There's an identifying of it. Tell yourself, not mine, not I, not self. So this is using the aggregates qualities to try and fix the lens. This is exactly what the Buddha taught. It's how he taught it. You must say it to yourself, he said. You must remember to say it to yourself. This is shifting the lens deliberately. See, then the easy one, see the anicca. Because you see the anicca properly, you will realize the dukkha. Then when you see the anicca, so you say, these two are related. They are. You see anicca properly, you see the dukkha, for sure. That is why I always say, for a patient diagnosed with an expiry date type of illness, your prognosis, 3 months. And I always say that 3 months, very dukkha. If you cannot accept death, very dukkha. You see mortality, very obviously you see dukkha. Because you see it everywhere. It's living corpse, living skeleton everywhere. Not just yours, others also. You see everywhere. It's very sad. You look at your parents, you say growing old, they will die. Kaka lai gong, they will die. Then straight away you feel the sadness. How can it not be? Anicca dukkha, straight away. You look at each other on the floor next to you, all of them. You look around. A day will come when one by one, they don't come anymore. The next time you see them, already, if they come back as human. You just look around. How can it not be sad? Then why is there sadness? Because we're attached. We're attached to this community. So nice, DFC, so nice. You're attached. Then you're sad, lor. Okay? So next time we should greet each other with dying soon, dying soon. Like that. Then we're helping each other in the practice. Oh, see liao lo, like this. Okay, instead of how are you? You're very good, right? We should help each other in our practice. Then the anatta comes in after that, right? Because of anicca, dukkha. Because of anicca and dukkha, anatta leh? Then we will tell ourselves, not mine, not I, not myself. Because it's anicca, it's dukkha, do not see it as self. Okay? That's how the thing works. Now, okay, I'm no lim kopi, no lim again. Earlier on, we were talking about tilakkhana as a framework for understanding reality. Now we're looking at anatta tilakkhana as a tool for mental recalibration. You all wait. I don't want to lose the voice. I better drink something. So here it says, if you see anicca properly, it's a critical, essential step for spiritual awakening. Because when you see anicca, you see death, life, death of sense pleasures, death of this, death of that. When you keep seeing that, there is a part in you that say, sian liao, sian. Sian. That is what the Buddha called nibbida. Nibbida means disenchantment, means being disillusioned. Sian. In Singlish, it's called sian. In very proper Queen's English, disenchantment, disillusion. Okay. And because of that, your mind will start to shift. So therefore, in your daily life, the Buddha talks about the 5 themes, the themes. I will grow old, I will fall sick, I will die and be separated from all my loved ones, and only karma follows me moving on. Okay, that's the 5 themes. And you keep reminding yourself, saying impermanence in the aggregates. So you see what he said. Perception of impermanence when you developed it and cultivate it. Develop means coming up, cultivate means continuing. It will eliminate all sensual lust. This lust, don't think of sex. It's just desire, very strong desire for your sense bases. The eyes, the ear, the sight, the sound, taste, smell, touch. Mainly sense bases. Okay. And this existence, this power tangha, this power is becoming, it's the mind. So the external world, the internal world. Your desire for ignorance is actually your desire for all those defilements. You see, who would have desires for defilements? You have attachments, ma? So this ignorance, I know usually it's written as ignorance of the Four Noble Truths. But ignorance, what does it mean by ignorance of the Noble Truth? No, just a view, ma, Sanya. So it's actually you're holding on to all the wrong views. You're holding on to defilements. Okay? This sanya, I know it's called wrong views, but they are sanya, so its baseline is deep. As long as you hold on to your defilements, as long as you hold on to, it's okay, one more life, it is okay, one last taste, it is okay. All these are your defilements, all these are your delusions, okay? You can cultivate sanya of impermanence. It will eliminate attachment, craving and attachment. Because your lust for sensual desire, all this is craving. These are your themes of craving. You can do that, it will uproot the I. Remember what I kept saying? Attachments, you will identify with it. That's where the I comes in. That's how it links. You have all these attachments and craving, you can start to eliminate, they start to fade away. When they start to fade away, the I am, there's no more craving to be attached to. The I am conceit also start to dissolve. I use my words very carefully. Fade, dissolve. Okay? And how can you cultivate perception of permanent impermanence? See them as, first see is form. Rising, fade away. Feeling, rising, fade away. Perception, and so on and so forth. This is how it comes out. This is what drives it to come up. This is fading away, no more. You see, so this is teaching, he was teaching at the highest level, he was teaching the monks. They are going for the fading away, totally, end of rebirth. This is Arahan. At this level, it's Arahan. So for the rest of us, working at a very superficial level, the themes. Your mindfulness very strong, look at impermanence of the aggregates. Going for the big prize, going for Nibbana, see the impermanence of your aggregates, but in a way that see it come out and fade away. Nothing to hold. Nothing to hold. So you fade away your attachment to the external world, the attachment to the internal world. Now, how does this aggregate thing work, right? Whether you're attached to anything, you're attached to the external, you're attached to the internal world, you still attach to aggregates, which is attached to the external and internal world. So it all goes back to the aggregates. I repeat, you're attached to the aggregates. The aggregates for you appears in the external world, the internal world. These all your six sense bases. The aggregates in the six sense bases. This external world, the internal world. Okay. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. 5 external world. But for them to come alive, there has to be the internal one. You have to remember them, recall them, enjoy them. The internal must appear. So 6 sense bases. In all of them, they are the aggregates. All of them you must see arising and fading away. Okay. The next lot. The second set of count. This is your 32 parts or 31 parts. Seeing the unattractiveness of. So this is specifically about unattractiveness and form. The most important here is the form. Okay. I don't want to go into details. I'm just telling you, is there. It will be part of your slides. You can look at it carefully. You can reflect on how the body can die. This Girimananda Sutta. How the body, all kinds of affliction. And so the last time when I was talking about this, I remember very clearly saying that if you can't quite memorize this, is okay. Just think about cancer. Think about heart attack. In our lifetime, those are the big ones. The cancer, the heart attack, the sudden deaths, COVID, which is now over, but the new one will come soon. We just wait for the new pandemic to appear. The kidney failure, the rich man diseases, strokes, all these, they are the realities of our time. So when you sit down and you refer, because we are in a rich, developed land, developed world, so you don't have much of the virus, bacteria afflicted type of diseases. Scabies, leprosy, you don't have these. But you have stroke, you have the rich man diseases. So for reality's sake, such that you can believe, you must reflect on, I can just walk out and get knocked down by a car. That's real. I can go see doctor for a health checkup and be told that there is something growing in the form. That's real. And it's malignant. That's very real. So you're reflecting on the affliction of the body, give it a reality spin, a real spin, okay? Perceiving non-delight in the world. These are the 10 perceptions. Again, they were all taught to monks. But if you like, you can always pick one of these, but you must be consistent. You want to pick any of these to try and weave it into your daily narrative. You've got to be consistent. Pick one and stay with it. Pick the one that you love the most. I love cops. Go ahead. There are all the different versions of cops. Repulsiveness in food. I like repulsiveness in food. This one I like. But this one very painful because every time you look at it, char kway teow, yeah, think of input, think of output, that kind of very hard. So sometimes it's hard for people, but you can call. Okay. Let me see. I check the time. This one, I would like all of you, just take 5 minutes, go into your group very quickly. You already reflected through this. I want you all to say, today or tomorrow, I will start one of them. Which is the one you will start? Okay. Very, very quickly. Then, Ikun, then you can do a point count for me. Who picks what? Let's just see. I got no time to do what's that survey online. I got no time to do survey online. So we can do one of those hands up type. Okay. Online, we can also do that. On site, Ikun, you take charge. You do your number count. Okay. Let's go. 5 minutes. We will do this very quickly. Let me see what's online. Reflecting on anicca is which version? Reflecting on just shifting and change of the aggregates moment to moment, or on mortality. That one will make a huge difference. It really does. It really does affect people. Okay, so let's move on. Wait, let me switch off this guy first. Please remind yourself not to own and identify with the aggregates. Any kind of form whatsoever, past, future, present, internal, external, gross or subtle, inferior, superior, far, near, all form should be seen as it really is, with the correct wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. You look at his emphasis, must be seen, should be seen as it really is. So the form really is not own, not mine, cannot be identified because it's not part of, it is not an extension of you. It is not you. It is not self. To be able to see that properly is wisdom. That's point one. Two, when one sees as it really is with correct wisdom, one holds no more views concerning past. When one holds no more views concerning past, one holds no more views concerning the future. When one holds no more views concerning the future, one has no more obstinate grasping. When one has no more obstinate grasping, the mind becomes dispassionate towards form, feeling, perception, pollution formation consciousness, and is liberated from the taints by non-clinging. Okay, when you hold views about your past, it means you are retracing pleasure or pain, so there is the attachment there, or you are caught up with remorse, regret. That's the pain part. Remorse, regret is the pain part. Caught up in memories of pleasure and gratification is the craving part. That's the past. Those are the mental states that arise. When you're thinking of the future, no one planned for pain one. People plan for pleasure. So again, there is an attachment to pleasure. You're planning for pleasure, planning in anticipation of pleasure. That is still attachment. Then the other thing pertaining, the other mental states pertaining to the future is the worry. When you have worry, you could also end up with doubt. But it's mainly worrying, it's mainly fear. You typically don't fear past. You usually fear future. Anticipating fear arises. Anticipating worry arises. Looking back, regret, remorse, or memory of pleasure. That's craving. Okay? So just start to observe how the mind behaves. When you have all these mental states, you're clinging to the past, you're in the future, typically it means holding and grasping. That's why it says scolding. You hold views. Then you say, why does the Buddha call it like this? Holding views about the past. It's a construction. When you recall the past, you must recall memory. You have to construct. And then you form an opinion. You form a conclusion. Your construction leads to aversion. So you can call it view as an aversion of something. You look to the future, it is also a version of something. This is the version of the future I think about. This is the version I like. They are all formed, constructed, all Shankara. When you don't think of the future, you don't think of the past, in effect, you have no craving, no grasping. That's why I kept saying Shankara, the thought formation one, always sits on some desire, some holding, some grasping, some chasing. Okay. When you have no more chasing and no more grasping, it means a detachment towards the aggregates. Because when you think of the past, it's also the aggregates. You think of the future, it's also the aggregates. You stop thinking of the past and the future, you stop holding on to aggregates. That's what it means. So there's no holding on. No holding on is liberation. Liberated from non-clinging. You don't cling, you are free from Mara's hold, free from Mara's bonds. Okay? So, what's the takeaway? Do not identify with, do not hold on to the aggregates. Do not keep going back past, future, because when you go to the past and future, it is attachment. When you stop identifying with the aggregates, the detachment happens. It happens. It's conditionally a reason. If a bhikkhu's mind has become dispassionate towards the form element, liberated from non-tainings, from the taints of non-clinging. When the mind is in equilibrium, by being liberated, it is steady. By being steady, it is content. By being content, no more agitation. Being unagitated, he attains Nibbana. So what is Nibbana? It's a mental state. Nibbana is a state of mind. It comes with two parts. One, you realize it is not shifting, it is not moving, it is steady. It is content. Steady, content, no more shakiness. This is a description of Nibbana. This is how Nibbana is felt, is experienced. In a state of Nibbana, it is steady. It is not chasing. So that's why it's steady. It's free, it's steady, it's content. It's not shaky. This agitation, you're like, why suddenly this word agitated, right? Like content already, someone got agitation, man, not agitated, man. Why the words are like that? Actually, it means shaky. It doesn't wobble. It's steady. It's settled. It no longer moves. So it's steady. Okay. 1. 2. He understands. He understands this state as the unborn, unconditioned. He understands. So birth is destroyed. Destroyed is birth means there's no more becoming. Done already. Holy life has been lived. That means the practice is complete. What needs to be done in the practice? What needs to be shifted in the mind? All done. When this is over, that's it. No more state of being. Okay? It's actually very beautiful. This line, mind is steady, it's liberated, he's free, because he's not attached. You see, how does one experience attachment? You tell me. I ask you a question. How do you experience an attachment? In a state of attachment, there is yearning, wanting, there is chasing, there is constructing. You chase, you should construct. There is an obsession. You feel trapped. Because why do I say you feel trapped? Because you don't feel pleasant, but yet you cannot get away from unpleasant. Then you're stuck lor. To put it in Singlish, you're stuck lor. 对不对? So in a state of stuck, you are trapped lah. Think of yourself as being stuck in quicksand. Your feet goes into the quicksand, then cannot come out. When you are attached, you feel you have no option. You want to connect. You feel you cannot let go. You're stuck with it. You have to connect. And pleasant, unpleasant is the same. I want to forget, the unpleasant cannot. The when I'm yearning for the pleasant, so dukkha, I don't want to yearn, cannot. So you feel trapped lah. Okay? This is important, huh? All the red lines are my words concluding from the stanza. Avoid repeating stories about yourself in the past, about your plan in the future, or you speculate about yourself, the present. Okay. So the Buddha said there are things such that when he attends to them, what is not there, the sensual desire not there, arises. What is there? A reason taint of sensual desire increases. What is not there? The sense of being. Bawa tangha. So the first one is kama tangha. The second one is bawa tangha. What is not there arises. What is there? The bawa tangha increases. The unreasoned taint of ignorance. Unreasoned taint of avidya tangha, or avidya asavas, whatever. Taints is asavas. Stain. What is not there? Avidya. Not there. Arises. What is there? Increases. These are things unfit for attention that he attends to. I will explain this in our regular language. Our mind, I want you to recall an occasion when you think of something you desire. You think of it, it comes out. The more you think, the more you want. This is what it means. You are angry. Initially, someone say, hey, why you like that? Initially, you heard it. It doesn't feel pleasant. You don't think about it. You didn't think about it. It's unpleasant. So unpleasant. Then you sit down and you think about, why did he say me, huh? That start already. What is not there, it comes up. So your bawa tangha, right? You're thinking of something unpleasant. And the more you think, the more unpleasant, the more unpleasant, the more you think. Papancha. Proliferate already. So what it means here is kama tangha or kama asavas, the sense pleasure that you experience, the external world that you experience through your sense bases. Don't keep thinking of them. You keep allowing your mind to go back to them, you will proliferate the desire for kama tangha. The second one is bhava tangha, the thoughts, the ideas, the views, driven by your agitation, driven by your craving. You go and pay attention to them, you go and sit with them, they will also proliferate. Should I do? Should I not do? Is this wholesome? Is this not wholesome? What am I doing? How am I practicing? La 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 la. Avidya. So the more you think, wherever there is thinking, there is a craving, there is a lobha somewhere. When you go into it, you think some more, it will proliferate. That basically is what it means. Then the Buddha went on to say, this is also how he attends unwisely. Was I in the past? Was I not in the past? Or was I in the past? How was I in the past? Having been what? What did I become in the past? Should I be in the future? Should I not be in the future? All these words is how we live life. In your life, you keep revisiting the past. When you tell stories again and again, you will bring up the past. You go and share your ideas. You share your ideas. It gives you a lot of cheap thrill. You share some more ideas. It's all about the future. So you're proliferating. This is kama tangha, bawa tangha, wibawa tangha. You are proliferating. You think, you thought. You are feeding the idea of the I. This is how you feed. So every time you open your mouth and you talk about myself, you're feeding, you are constructing the past, the future, the I, the speculations about the I. Okay? Oh, wait, before I forget. Wait, So the idea here is avoid repeating stories about yourself in the past and the plan in the future or speculating about yourself. Okay? This one is quite simple. I just love it. This is not this is just another useful thing, but I love this. So I want you all to think about this because it's very helpful. I love to look at the aggregates like this. Rupa is a lump of foam. Okay. This is the bubble type of foam. This is not the plastics foam. This is the bubble type of foam. Okay. This is a lump of it. It will start to disintegrate. This nature's foam. Feeling is bubble. It swells, it puffs. See, right? It swells, it pop. So the way that he describes it, you imagine feeling to swell and buzz. Right? Goes up very fast, it pop. Okay. Mirage is this real, not real, right condition, it appears. So your sanya is like that. Under the right conditions, it appears like real like that. Under the right conditions, it appears. It feels so real. Shankara is built layer upon layer, built. This is a hardwood, built. You cut it, there's nothing there. You cut it, it's not there. But it grows. And then when you chop it out, you take it apart, there's nothing there. And the last one, the magic illusion of magician, is an experience, It's an experience. So in the magician performance, there is sensation, there is perception, you must go and construct, and then you can be caught in the illusion. So say all of them coming together, you have an experience. So that's what it means. Okay. So beautiful. I enjoy this very much. And then the Buddha said, this is just a reminder. As a reminder, it's a very powerful reminder. He says, out there, I'm just using one of them. Okay. Out there comes a time when the water element is disturbed, the external earth element disappears. So what you can see, what is real? The water is real. The rocks are real. The mountains are real. What is real? You can feel it. You can touch it. Even that is seen to be impermanent, subject to destruction and disappearance and change. What more these five aggregates? What more this? So do not take any of them as I, mine, or I am. Okay. So this one, sometimes you go into nature and you say, and this to me, right, looking at this tells me the Buddha's mind is incredible. No ancient man, not even modern man, but no ancient man. Nobody in ancient time talks about the nature of the world, the physical world, the nature of the physical world in the manner he talks about. He talks about fire burning out the earth, scorching and disintegrating the earth. He talks about water, the ocean disappearing. He talks about mountain rising and falling away. But he is right. If you know anything about the geography of the world, about the transition of the world in big phases, if you know anything about the history of the world, you will know he's right. All these great elements shift. And he's talking about the impermanence of things which nobody can imagine. That's why I said the Buddha really had seen things as they are, not just in the mind, but the span of history. His mind has gone back in history. His mind has seen geopolitical, geographical shifts in over millenniums, over time and space. This Buddha is just incredible. Okay, we're done. I think. Yes, we are done. Questions? Go.
Anyone, any questions?
You need to take a moment to just reflect. Oh, we don't have a lot of time. 4:45, 4:50. No question? You go online.
There's one question on the floor.
Hi, Sister Sarah, will changing the way we talk help us to reduce identifying with our, let's say, experience and with the aggregates? So, like, instead of saying that I'm angry or I'm happy or I'm confused, and we say that there's this anger, there's this
Yes.
pleasant sensation,
Yes.
but it is not mine. Yeah.
Yes. If you start to be able to changing the way you speak, and when you use the words like that, you will put a distance. Yes, it will help.
Thanks.
Instead of saying I am angry, there is anger arising. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Hello, Sister Sylvia. Can I ask, regarding attachment, how do we still love our loved ones without attachment? Because I find it so hard.
What are you loving? You
I
see,
think the 5 aggregates. As in, yeah.
there is arising, there is love arising. If you love as a sensation, right? As a sensation arises. If the sensation arises without attachment, it's metta. I repeat, love as a sensation, as an emotion. If it arises without attachment, it is just metta. But if you land it on someone, you land it on an individual, and you identify with it, then the sensation is love. But because you land it somewhere and you are attached, now you form attachment to the object that you have first landed love on. And then you remember this wonderful sensation called love. You call it love. And then you say, this sensation arises because of that individual. Then you form attachment to that individual, not to love. It's to that individual. Because in your perception, it is the individual's presence that triggered love, that triggered the pleasant sensation. Love is just a pleasant sensation, okay? If it doesn't land anywhere on any individual, it is really just metta. That is how all this Brahma Vihara is so powerful. It's just born, not landing on anybody, just metta, okay? But when you land it on someone and you say, with this individual, so you identify, when you identify and you are attached, now comes the rest of the construction. My Sanya say, it is unique to this individual. That version of love, that version is actually attachment to the good feeling. And then you identify with that individual. It's an attachment, therefore, to that individual. And now this love has problem already. This romantic love has a problem because it comes with attachment. It still is attached to the good sensation. But in this particular case, because it's identified with one individual, it has to be that individual, no one else. It has to be that individual. If you know how to do it right, you can trigger love everywhere and nothing happens. But you get it wrong, then you are attached to one individual because of that trigger, and then it becomes a problem. Because why? That person will die. You will die. And then you will perceive that with the death of this individual, I cannot feel this love anymore. I need the object to trigger the sensation. But it doesn't have to. It's a sensation. It can come out on its own. It doesn't need that person. But we don't believe it because we're so used to one version, the attachment version. So that's how we always land up on individual. It's always constructed. This is my son. I love my son. This is my person, my husband, my wife. So the love that sits on construction, that version cannot last because whatever you construct, it will fade away. But as itself, as an experience, the feeling itself, it can come out anytime. Okay? I'm not sure whether it makes sense to you. So the bottom line, you can continue if your love sits on no attachment. It is not it's a sensation by itself. It's a mental state by itself with affection or metta by itself, but it's not attached to individual. You don't have a problem. Okay? You will not have a problem. But most regular mind without understanding of the nature of mind typically can't do it that way. So their affection is associated with an individual, which then comes with its own entitlement, its own expectations. You think the regular love is good. No, it's not good. If you don't have generosity embedded there, that love is possessiveness. That so-called love is possessiveness. You don't have generosity, you don't have wisdom embedded in the experience of love. There is attachment, there is entitlement, there is expectations, and if there is no generosity, you're in trouble. Both sides will be in trouble. Because the akusala, when you identify, when there is attachment, it will come with all the strings of akusala that follows. No love, no jealousy. No love, no worry. No love, no fear. No love, no anxiety. 对不对? That's the attachment that comes with it. I talk like I'm a master of love like that, but I am. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Next question.
I think we're done. Actually, can I ask a question?
Sure. Go ahead.
So, I think, we were discussing. I mean, I was discussing with my Dharma friends lah. Like, what is actually called self? Like, we didn't really get the concept of like self. Like, what is it? Then my own reflection came out to be, self is 5 aggregates, 6 sense bases. But then to an uninstructed worldling, it's just life, me, or show. Oh, I experience a good feeling, show. This is called self. Then to someone that is with Dharma training, you'll be like, oh, I see my aggregates in parts, I can see it, I can know what I'm attached to, which aggregate I'm attached to, then I can let it go. Is there an appropriate segregation or like rebranding of this thing called self?
After
Yeah.
the soul, there's no rebranding per se. Essentially, through millennium, because we all have attachment. is a mental state that is intrinsic in life. Craving and attachment is intrinsic to life. And this mental state is so habitual, so much at the subconscious level. You recognize it. You recognize the mental state, but you don't know that it is called craving and attachment. You see the mental state and straight away you say, it's, in English, we say it's mine, I, and self. Craving, I repeat, craving and attachments, they are just a natural part, a natural instinct in all of us. That sensation of craving and the sensation of attachment, you feel it, right? It feels very real. That embedded there, because you call it craving, you call it feeling, like call it not you feel that it's too amorphous, it's too unreal. It's a sensation, it's too unreal. So that sensation has to land on something. So it lands, therefore, on the aggregates. You're attached. Attached to what? Attached to form. Attached to what? Attached to feeling. What are you attached to? What are you craving? Craving memories, craving ideas, views. So I'm attached to Sanya. I'm attached, and all my constructions pertain to these attachments. And that's my experience of life. But to say, so you see, it goes back to that craving as a natural state. Attachment, craving, with a craving comes at the attachment. All these are natural states. These arise. This is the reason why we are here. So that's why they are very second nature. And these second nature habits and instincts, this driver of life, has to go into something. There is no attachment with nothing. So what did it land on? It land on the aggregates. So this is the natural part. That's why it's the mind part, it's natural. But once you attach, to give it more expression, it must then identify. So now that I have feeling, I must be real. So it has to identify. That's why I say it's a second level construction. It's start liao. You cut it back, you go and unpeel it, you go backwards. Identity means what? Oh, I'm identifying with intelligence. What is intelligence? Sanya. It's a sanya. I am intelligent. It's a competency. It's a skill. I know that it's called a skill. It's a form of sanya. I constructed it that way. Since I recognize it, that's all. And so now you identify with sanya. Okay? Now all these activities that happens spontaneously, naturally, the regular man can't, first the regular man cannot see. He feels attachment, he doesn't know it's called attachment. Meaning to say, he will identify with attachment. Attachment is I is attachment. He will identify with it. Whereas what we are doing is to say, wait, are you attachment? Then you say, I cannot be an attachment. So there's a rising of attachment. If you cannot be attachment, then what is attachment? And arising. A habit. Here I am trying to rationalize for you guys. When something cannot be rationalized, it has to be seen for yourself. You have to see it. See what happened when you just call it attachment arising. Just see what happened to your mind. Next time, put that distance. You see attachment, you see pain, you see craving. When you recognize it arising, just see it as it is. Don't call it I. You see what happened. You will then experience something, a detachment. You will see the distinct. When you see the distinct, then what's you? What's you? What's real? You have to do it like that. See it for yourself. I already told you the steps. You just apply the steps. So you're asking for rebranding. It's not about the branding. Whatever it is, it's just an identifying. You just because you want to identify, it's a habit. You can give it different name. You are still owning it. You're still identifying with it. And then after you have identified, you put a cloak hanger, everything must hang together, you call it a self. I think I've said this until the cow comes home. You go back, you play back, you'll be 1,300 times. It's been said. Okay?
Okay, we can go online.
Okay.
First question, if there is no delight, can we even smile?
Yeah, I'm smiling what? Okay, I still got delight lah. Have you seen the Buddhist Rupa? Have you read the suttas? There's no bond, there's no tightness. There's just a natural state of mind is actually light. When these guys know, when they are not weighted down by desires and chasing and preferences and opinions and judging, when you're not weighted down by all these, the mind is naturally light. And the lightness will lead to a smile. Okay?
Next question. Hi, Sis Sylvia. How would you advise overcoming or detaching from physical pain? E.g., in meditation, hot or cold, sickness or hunger. I have been gradually trying to push the boundary, but there is also a genuine fear of self-injury.
See your fear. You must fear is a mental construct. Physical form is as it is. We all, when we are attached to the form, we will then be concerned, be extra sensitive to whatever is occurring in the form. If you tell yourself this is a form and you see your form as separate, you must recognize that the mind makes its own judgment. You got to recognize the mind. So the mind has fear, the mind has anxiety, the mind has all these arising mental states. Those mental states stem from attachment to form. They are not one step, they are many steps. So if you can, as you're observing your physical body during meditation, you learn to identify the arising mental states. When you see the mental states arising, you must be able to recognize them. Oh, this is fear. Oh, this is anxiety. This is whatever. You recognize it, see it as arising. So when you recognize the mental states, straight away you know, oh, Sanya is calling it this. It's Vedana that is unpleasant. Accept the mental state, accept the Vedana, you will see that the mind settles. It feels steadier. It's no longer looking at the physical form. Okay? I'm not sure if it helps, but this is how you say. Don't just look at the form. Don't look for what is happening in the form. Look at the mind looking at the form. And you tell yourself, I accept whatever is there as it is. The mind will settle. Then your form will be okay. By your question, I know you have fear and you have anxiety. Okay, so watch the fear, watch the anxiety.
Next question. If everything is condition arising and ceasing, and in essence is anatta, then why still need to send metta to self and others?
Because you want pleasure, you want happiness, ma? You're absolutely right. If everything is like that, then what are we doing? But you want happiness, right? You want calmness, right? You have compassion. So If you're no longer caught up in yourself, you have compassion for all others. When you have compassion for all others, when you're doing certain things, it's not about you. It's about others. It's about your empathy with the world. That's why the ones who are truly compassionate are the ones who are truly wise, because they have pure empathy. Not the empathy is not wrapped up in the self, in the I, in the mind, the I, the self. The empathy is pure empathy. It understands how it feels. It is not caught up in your own defilements. So your capacity to feel another and to wish the best of others, that capacity is limitless. So to answer your short question, one, you have empathy, you have metta, you yourself experience pleasant sensation. Number two, if truly you understand absolutely, your understanding, your wisdom is complete, your compassion, your metta, they are all pure and limitless. So you no need to send, you are just bubbling. You are vibrating with all these wholesome and wonderful mental states. No need to send. They're just vibrating naturally. So others will get it anyway. Okay? Next. Any more or not?
There's one long question and there's one short question. We go for the short one first. Thank you, Sis Sylvia, for the insightful sharing. Is planning for future a defilement? How do we balance the practice with worldly responsibilities?
Planning in itself means there is a craving. If you have no craving, there is no desire to plan. But as long as there is a craving, there will be planning. Why do you think when the monks told, I think it was Kassapa, both Kassapa and Sariputta, both separately have said to the Buddha, introduce new rules, protect the sasana. Buddha say, in good time, when the conditions are there. Buddha doesn't plan either. Typically, the Buddha doesn't plan. He will just react to the conditions most time, unless there is specifically a Dhamma piece of work to be done, then he will do it. But he does it without planning. He will just do it. As long as there's planning, there is desire. It's not a defilement or not defilement. And you answer for yourself. Is it a defilement? It merely reflects that you have a desire, lor. That if you think that desires are okay, then like that, lor. Don't plan too much. The more planning, the more detailed planning, the more micromanaging you have, the more desires you have. It's just a reflection of that. And then the more stress you will be, lor. Because every iota of desires leads to that iota of dukkha. Okay?
Last question. There is
Yes.
2 parts. Hi, Sis Sylvia. I see myself having strong self-view and often imposing my views onto others, which I deem is good. Is this the right view?
Wrong view.
Or the right way to practice to recite?
Wrong way.
To recite.
Any strong view is attachment. How can it be right? There will be dukkha.
Okay, here's a solution for that the person is practicing. Is this the right view below and the right way to practice to recite? This perception is not me. I am not perceptions, and perception is not myself.
First, you see the attachment to your view. Then you tell yourself, this view that I have is conditionally a reason. Your view is formed from habits and instincts past. Therefore, not mine, not I, not myself. For some of you, you need to say a little bit more. Because you don't say a little bit more, your mind doesn't believe what you are saying. So I repeat, number one, you must see for yourself. All these views are conditionally a reason. You must know that it's formed from habits, instincts from a different time, built over time. You tell yourself that. Therefore, not mine. This is not I. This Sanya. It's not I. This is not self. But you must recognize your habit to own and to hold. So you must see for yourself the attachment. How do you know that there is an attachment, right? You look at the pleasant and unpleasant sensation. Whenever there is an unpleasant sensation, there is an attachment somewhere. There is a craving somewhere. Look at the sensation. What is your first clue? If there is a sensation of unpleasant, you just come down, watch the present moment. You see unpleasant. There's an attachment there. There is a craving there. Okay? If you are truly without craving, without chasing, if you're truly so, there is no unpleasant, there is only pleasant. There's only the sublime joy of being. That's all there is. Okay?
The part 2 to the question.
That was part 1.
Yeah, the part 2. I will also remind myself not to interfere with others' karma. Then I suppose the person recites, we are born of our karma, heir to our karma, supported our karma, the whole string. Is this right practice?
Karma is about yourself, not about others. Meaning to say, when you make choices, when you are making choices, you remind yourself, let's keep it wholesome. Let's keep it wholesome because indeed we are born of karma. We are heir to karma. Not born, owner of karma, heir to karma. Born of karma, origin, born of karma, bonded to karma. Now you can say all these things, but do you understand? That is the most important. So you want to recite, you must understand what it means. And it's not about other people. If you are saying people are born of karma, they are heir to karma, you're wrong. The practice is wrong because you're using it to judge another, to slap people on the head. That is wrong practice. The correct practice is always inwards. My mind leans towards unwholesome. I must remind myself, hey, I'm going to carry this karma as a stain in the mind. I try to reduce the stain. I must reduce the stain. Do you understand? Other people, whatever is happening out there, you will tell yourself, I'm making judgment, I'm judging. I'm not pure. I haven't completed my journey. I'm not talking about other people. I will let be. It should be like that. Don't even think, don't even explore, don't even go there. This is not I have one job. My job is to incorporate the Dhamma into my life properly. I understand it well. I do it well. I'm living by the Dhamma. And that will be the source of my peace and happiness. Dhamma is the source of it. The Dhamma is the refuge. Then it becomes the source of my well-being. Okay? That's it.
That's it. Thank you, Sylvia.
Okay, this one is for people who have signed up. 4th January, it will be rewiring mental conditions. That's the next one. So 4th January, I see you all. Okay? 2025. Oh, so fast, time flies. Those of you who are coming tomorrow, tomorrow is the HCA walk. So for those of you coming, that's the program. You take a picture of it. You're all invited. Okay, 8 o'clock onwards, and we will be this one. This is our flag. Xiao Feng has drawn up made a flag for Jitawana. So you guys can come over You don't, even if you have not signed up, it's okay. You can come. You see, got carnival and all. You are all invited to come. Okay. We will be at deck A. The HCA so kindly sent me the picture. This is deck A. This is where things are going to be. And look out for this banner. And that's the bunch of us will be there. Okay. And I see you guys next year. Unless you're coming for Parinibbana or you're coming tomorrow, also can. And if you want to contribute, still can. Tonight will be the last night, then that's it. I mean, afterwards, it won't be counted as Jitawana's collection. All right, right. Thank you very much. Ikun, over to you.